The differences between local compilation and overleaf is not just a question of free versus paid. It is a distinct user experience. In this tutorial, we will demonstrate local LaTeX use from VS Code. This gives us auto-completion and optional support from AI writing assistants, like on Overleaf, but requires some initial setup. Overleaf and VS Code can both be fantastic for LaTeX. It eventually comes down to project characteristics and personal preferences. For local compilation, you need to install LaTeX on your computer. There are various TeX distributions to choose from. In this tutorial, we select TeX Live, which is the software that Overleaf uses. This tug.org website outlines the installation instructions. The instructions may change over time, so make sure to visit the website for up-to-date information. Installation works slightly differently on Mac, Windows, and Linux. We will go through the installation process on Linux that also works on Mac. That means entering the commands outlined here on the website into the terminal. Windows users instead download and run the installer executable. The installation options are quasi-identical, but are presented in a graphical user interface that you click through instead of interacting via text-based selection in the terminal. Here, we will install TeX Live directly on the host system because it is the easiest approach for non-technical users. To keep this tutorial as accessible as possible, we will not demonstrate the more advanced alternative leveraging Docker and Dev containers. So let us open the terminal and follow the instructions. Create a temporary folder in your home directory. Move into this folder. Download the TeX Live installation package. Decompress and extract the archive. Enter the extracted folder. We run the installation script without the no interaction flag because we want to deviate from the default options. The script opens a text-based installation wizard. Whereas you choose options on Windows by clicking on them, we select them via the command line on Unix-like systems. Enter O to open the Options menu, I to start the installation with the current selection, etc. We start with one of the first menus that you find by scrolling up. The scheme, available through the letter S. By default, TeX Live installs the full scheme. This is what you have access to on Overleaf. It contains all LaTeX packages available in the TeX Live distribution. With this set, your projects work out of the box. You do not need to install any LaTeX package later on. It occupies quite a bit of disk space and installs tools, most of which you likely do not need. Yet, beginners and non-technical users may want to keep this default selection and enter R to return to the main menu. In this tutorial, we select setting D instead, which only installs some basic packages and requires us to add other packages manually later on. Having updated the selection, we return with R. You can change collections using C. This adds more nuance beyond the schemes, but we will not do that here. What we do change is one of the options in the menu available under O. We remove the software's ability to execute a restricted list of programs. This follows the principle of least privilege, where you grant software only the minimum permissions it needs to operate. This change breaks some LaTeX packages, so only unselect the option if none of your project's packages rely on it. Especially new users may want to keep the default. Return with R. Because we are executing the installation script in user mode, not as administrator, the default installation directory is not writable. We need to change it in the menu that opens with the letter D. Selecting user mode follows the already mentioned least privilege security practice. If you run the installation script with sudo as administrator, ignore the next step and keep the default directory. In the directory customization dialog, we set the textdir, entry 1, to a TeX Live 2025 folder in our home directory. This updates all paths to the home directory, and we can return with R. Now that we have made all desired changes, we start the installation with the letter I. Depending on what schemes and collections you have chosen, this process takes differently long. This tutorial selection takes a few seconds to install. The full scheme, in contrast, may take hours. Once the installation is done, we are greeted by a welcome message. You can remove the TMP folder from your home directory. However, as this message outlines, we are not fully done yet. On Mac and Linux, we need to add TeX Live to the system-wide path variable so that software knows where to find the program. On Windows, this was already done by the installer. We also do that for ManPath, the variable listing manual pages. And for InfoPath linking information pages, reload to apply the new settings. Other software can now use TeX Live. In this tutorial, we demonstrate how to use it from VS Code. Open the extensions sidebar and install LaTeX Workshop. This extension handles the interaction with TeX Live for us, like Overleaf does in the browser. You may want to add the Code Spell Checker extension for English language spell checking as well. Its publisher also maintains dictionaries for other languages via further extensions. Let us test an example document. We create a folder with an example LaTeX file in it. If you have installed the full TeX Live scheme, you can now build the project by pressing Ctrl, Alt, B, or by clicking the green button on the top right. If you have opted for a smaller install, like we have in the tutorial, you need to first obtain all TeX packages required for this project. On Windows, you access the package manager by searching for TeX Live in the list of installed apps and opening the TeX Live command line program in it. On Mac and Linux, we head back to the terminal. The commands are the same, just the text prompt looks different. We control the TeX Live package manager through the tlmgr command. The documentation is available on the TeX Live website and in the tlmgr manual and info pages on your system. We begin by updating the package manager itself. Next, we update the already installed TeX Live packages. It is good practice to run these commands, that is the package manager update and package updates, on a regular basis. Once this is done, we install the LaTeX make package, which we need for building the TeX file. We switch to VS Code and build the project. When it is built, a turning circle at the bottom left turns into a check mark. And we get a number of new files in our folder. The PDF document is the output. Everything else are intermediate files utilized by the compiler. On Overleaf, the editor hides them by default from you. In case you are using Git in this local project, you should add every file type but text to Git ignore. You exclusively track and share that text file. If we now recompile, it is faster than before because the tool takes the already generated files into account. For a fresh compile from scratch, delete all files except for the text file and hit the Build button. Clicking on the PDF file opens it in VS Code. To view it side by side with the source, we click on the Split Editor button on the top right or press Ctrl/. Users with multiple monitors can split the files across screens. Simply grab one of the two panes with your mouse and drag it to another monitor. When recompiling, the PDF file usually automatically reflects the changes, irrespective of whether it is on the same screen or not. Now you know about both remote and local LaTeX compilation. The choice between Overleaf or local compilation depends on personal preferences and the needs of a project. Overleaf is forgiving and often lets you compile despite errors in your code. It is ready to go, without local installs, and lets you edit the same file as your co-authors in real time. Local use, such as the demonstrated VS Code setup, in contrast, encourages you to embrace the Git way. And especially for large projects, compilation tends to be significantly faster than on Overleaf and does not time out. We encourage you to try both options and figure out which of them aligns with which project.